So before we begin, I just want to say, one, this will be a spoiler discussion of the movie. So if you have not watched the movie, please go watch it. Um, two, I apologize for this video being so late. Your boy was enjoying birthday, your boy was enjoying spending time with his family and friends and whatnot, and your boy got sick while watching this fucking movie. So the video will probably sound hazy. You'll probably hear some noise. You'll probably hear me do some nasty shit in the fucking background, but it's okay. You guys will tolerate it because everybody's been hitting me up talking about what are you gonna do with review or discussion about Black Panther? When is it coming? When is it coming? And I was regurgitating what fucking I was praying to God I would never have to do the video, because I guess we have to get into my thoughts on the first Black Panther movie. The first Black Panther movie to me is one of the strongest, best, I would even always say the best MCU movie to date. And I think a lot of that has to do with not only just the costume design, the music, everything about the first Black Panther movie was so impressive, except that CG. Holy fuck, that CG is horrendously bad. Like, oh my goodness. I even rewatched it to get prepared for Wakanda Forever, but holy fuck, that shit was bad. Anyway, the movie is so well realized and well written that it blows the negatives out. That's how well written it's so good the first movie was. And I think what elevated the first Black Panther movie and why I think it resonated with so many people, and especially the Black community in particular, is because the duality between Killmonger and T'Challa. I personally felt like both Chadwick and Michael B. Jordan was holding the fucking flag for us. They really represented the beauty and the anger that Black people have. And what I mean by that is when you look at Wakanda as a whole, at Chadwick in particular, T'Challa, you look at the world of Wakanda and it's such a beautiful place, and you could generally tell everybody in Wakanda has nothing but love and respect for one another. Like, everybody works as a team. Everyone's portrayed as royalty. And when you look at everybody from Shuri and Baku, everybody, the whole cast, and in particular T'Challa, everybody carries themselves with respect and royalty in them. It was so refreshing at that time to see Black people be portrayed as royalty, as kings and queens. And that's what elevated it, and Chadwick really led the charge for that. But on the flip side, you had Michael B. Jordan's portrayal of Killmonger, and Killmonger was the antithesis of that Black rage, that anger and that rage that a lot of Black people have for the world, of how it treated us all for many years. And all his scenes that Michael B. Jordan talks about how come Wakanda never helped out our Black people. He speaks with a rawness that I think a lot of Black people, in particular young Black men, can relate to. That angriness, that bitterness of how the world has, society and the world treats us, even up to this day, which I don't even have to get into it. You just look at the news and you know how Black people be portrayed as. He represents that anger, and as the movie goes on, you clearly see, like, as much as he talks about this liberation and fighting for his people, his ultimate goal is misguided and would have led to the destruction of Wakanda as a whole. And I think that portrayal and seeing those two ideologies, these dualities clash, was so beautiful. And it's funny because Kendrick Lamar made the album for this movie, or helped with the album of this movie. And Kendrick constantly talks about duality in his album, so it was so beautiful. So that's why I think the first Black Panther movie is such a mwah, I fucking love it. And then, sadly, we had the passing of Chadwick Boseman. Our king was stolen from us. Randomly. Just unabruptly just took him from us, from the world. And it left a gaping hole that I don't think not even Wakanda Forever itself kind of could have healed from. And it was a tough loss. And I don't envy Ryan Coogler, the director, for what he had to go through. Like, he had an uphill battle. And Kevin Feige and the whole team at Marvel had an uphill battle. They could have either do three things. They could have either say, let's cancel the movie, which the whole black community would have been fucking rage and anger, and fucking the whole Marvel Studios would have burnt down. Or they could have taken my suggestion, which was to recast. But I could also look at it on why they didn't do the recast, because, you know, the death just happened and it was so sudden and not a lot of people had time to mourn and whatnot. So that's it. Or option 3, we tell a story of the loss and the tragedy of this hero gone, and how is the side characters handling it. And well, all reports, I felt like this movie was gonna fucking fail, because I did not like the option they chose. And, you know, because I still say there's so much great stories to tell of T'Challa. He still has an arc. He's a young king. There's still many stories to tell of him with Namor, him with Doctor Doom, you know. Listen, Black Queens, him and Storm, like, come on, like, I know when people see Storm and T'Challa together, I think you guys are gonna, that would have been, like, to me, the highlight of the MCU, seeing those two together, because they're so good to each other. They're not perfect, and T'Challa's kind of a dick sometimes to Storm, but when they pull up, they're the power couple, in my opinion. They're exactly what black men and black women should strive to be in a relationship. But have Shuri not only being the queen, but also the taking over the mantle of Black Panther, when T'Challa only had like one story arc with him. It was like, oh no. And you know, black women, no offense, this is gonna, you know, no offense, but you know, people are gonna be like, you're just hating on her because she's a black queen and you don't want to see black women rise. I'm like, motherfucker, my original idea, what I wanted for Black Panther 3 was to adapt Doom War, which is basically when Doom invades Wakanda, steals the vibranium, and becomes like OP powerful. So T'Challa had to destroy the vibranium, and then Shuri takes over the mantle of Black Panther. In fact, my idea was to have both Shuri and T'Challa both be Black Panthers at the time, and then at the end of the movie have fucking Shuri become the new Black Panther, like passing the torch to her. But throughout the whole movie, she's operating with T'Challa as a Black Panther. Like that's how I wanted the third movie to go, and I know they can't possibly make that fucking happen now. But so this movie had a uphill battle, and again, I don't envy. I fucking feel bad for everybody who worked on this. This was a lose-lose situation. But I will say, after watching the movie and after thinking about the movie a lot, I gotta say, this was a pretty good movie. They did the best they could, and they did a pretty good job. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was ready to hate this movie, but they did the best they could with what they were given. I think this movie is a very sloppy movie. I think it is, oh my goodness, this movie is so sloppy, and that's because the runtime of this movie feels like 3 hours. This movie feels like a fucking 3-hour movie, because it has bad pacing. It has a lot of that bad pacing. It has to do with Marvel being typical Marvel of having to shove what's coming next in the MCU. It's almost like I went to this beautiful funeral where we were mourning our friend Chadwick, and out of fucking nowhere, Mickey Mouse pulls out and is just like showing out flyers to his upcoming new events, and it's like, bro, I don't give a fuck right now. Let me breathe with this movie, because this movie is fucking beautiful. This movie is beautiful when the movie just lets you breathe and just take things in. Like when characters are just talking about the death of T'Challa, it hits. You know, the opening of this movie it took me by surprise. I started crying. There's multiple moments in this movie I started crying because some of the shit just took me by surprise, and it was like so good. Like the opening of the movie is so good. It's just like, is Shuri like praying to Boss? And if you know anything about Shuri's character, she's never prayed to Boss or even cares for traditional shit, because she's more of a futurist. She's more of like a modern woman. So it's fine, and it worked. But in here, she actually goes to very traditional, and that scene and how it's portrayed is so beautiful. It's so tragic, I should say. And then the funeral, oh my goodness. And then this movie does something that had me bawling, crying in the theater, was that they do the typical Marvel logo, but instead of it doing the typical music, it's all of just Chadwick's illustrations, and it has some. If you look closely, it has some of his dialogue from all his previous movies. He's of the MCU, and what made it so beautiful was that it was all done in silence. It was like a moment of silence. And in the theater I went to with my friends, you couldn't hear a fucking penny drop. It was like just give us a moment to heal from that shit. And it was so beautiful. And I think when the greatest weapon this movie has is its silence. Like moments where characters were just silent. There's a reason why a lot of people say the bridge scene where they're rescuing Riri Williams, that fight is so impactful. You want to know why it's so impactful? Because it literally is silence. All you just hear is two warriors going at it. And from what I gathered, that whole fight scene took 4 months to do. And I can tell, because it's the best. It actually is the best fight scene in the whole fucking film. Because it has no moment of music. It just has characters going at it, and that's not what a fucking movie. That's a fucking good movie. That's a good shit, man. That's the definition of beautiness, man. And it's just so much good things. But then the movie, what fucks the movie over is just typical Marvel shit. It's like, why do I need Agent Ross in the movie? Like, why is he in this movie? Like, he serves no purpose. He's there to set up Riri Williams, give the Wakandans the information for Riri, which is fine. That's cool. I actually like that. But then we have a whole big story arc with him and his ex-wife, who, listen, at this point, I'm getting sick and tired of this fucking character. I know she's teasing Thunderbolts, but no, like, get her the fuck out of here, man. This is a perfect example of what the fuck I'm talking about, with Marvel just sticking their hands where shit doesn't need to belong. It's just like, my God, it's like, it's like, get the fuck out of here. And it's just like, moments like this, it's just like, it just took me out of the movie. I was just like, come on, man. And then Riri Williams, I'm sorry, I know there's gonna be people who likes this character, because a lot of people was chucking at the theater I went with when she was saying her jokes, but I'm sorry, she's just a typical generic black girl, where she's just like, oh, I'm the smartest person, and I've made my own Iron Man machine, which, by the way, her final Iron Man design look, that shit looked like a fucking Power Ranger slash Mega Man villain, and I'm like, oh no. Like, Riri was a waste of time and waste of energy. I fucking could not stand this character, and I think the worst thing that made her character unlikable is that it's the same problem I had with America Chavez in Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness, is that she's a MacGuffin character. And I always say, if your character is a MacGuffin character, automatically your character is fucking trash. Because if you don't try your best, you have an uphill battle, because clearly this character has to push the plot forward, but if you don't take the time to develop that character could be a waste of time and a waste of slot. And Riri was that waste of time. She added nothing to the movie except jokes and levity. And I keep saying this, when the movie just focused on the death of Chadwick and the loss of the king, and how is Wakanda handling the grievances of losing a king, I think that's one of the movies that is most powerful. You know, I think another favorite scene is when Nakia talks to Okoye, and she's just like, yo, like, you guys thought T'Challa was y'all everything. Yeah, he was y'all king. He was y'all Black Panther, y'all guardian. He was literally y'all protector. But for me, he was my everything. And it was like, man, when she said that hit me, because it's like, I can imagine, to put real world into it, it's like, I can just imagine how Chadwick's girlfriend or fiance or whatever felt, you know. Like, for us, Chadwick was he was our king. All right, he raised the flag for all of us, and not having him in here anymore it sucks. But for her, that was his love. That was her love at the end of the day, and it was like, man, like that scene had me tearing up, because it made me think of that, and it's like those moments are when the movie's at its height, and it's like, I wanted the movie to just focus on that shit more, and just like not this Marvel nonsense of like, we gotta lead into Thunderbolts, we gotta talk about dumbass Thunderbolts and all this dumb shit. It was like, bro, get this shit out of here, bro. No one cares, man. No one cares. And then there's just some decisions in this movie that I'm just like, oh no, like why is it that M'Baku and Nakia are kind of like the weak links? Like, why they're barely in the movie? And it's weird because, like I said, Nakia has this really good moment in the movie with Okoye, and it's just like, after that it's kind of like, whatever. She's barely in the movie, and she doesn't do much. And then M'Baku is worse, and this is why I can understand if men in particular felt some type of way, even though I didn't feel any type of way. But I did like M'Baku in the first movie, and I was like, why isn't M'Baku joining on this adventure? Like, M'Baku was such a cool character in the first movie. It only made sense to level him up and actually have him contribute to a lot of the scenes. And if you really needed a joke character, he was that character. And also, what I loved about M'Baku, especially at the near the end of the movie when Shuri becomes the Black Panther, M'Baku starts actually taking a assistance role, like a big brother role, and giving Shuri advice on things. And that's why I really love the scene where he tells Shuri, like, yo, if you go to war with these guys and you kill this Namor guy, you kill him, Wakanda will go to hell. Like, Wakanda will be destroyed, because these guys will not let up. They will keep going, because they don't reveal him as a king or a general. They reveal him as a god. And what happens when you take a god? People become bitter and people become rageful, and it's just gonna create a uphill battle that Wakanda, just be honest, do not have the firepower at this point to deal with. And I thought that was so smart to have him be that. And if he was in the movie throughout the whole course of the fucking movie, I thought it would have been really fucking good. I would have been like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I really wish he was in the movie more. I really wish he was. But yeah. Just these stupid shit. And then the fucking oh boy, we're gonna get on to that ending. The fucking post-credit scene, but we're gonna save that for a little later. But I just wanna say, despite all my bitching and complaining, I do wanna give the movie its compliments, and why I really ultimately like this movie is because, like I said, the power of silence in this movie is so beautiful. The moments where characters are grieving, the moments where characters are just contemplating on things is so great. And I just want to say, Angela Bassett. Oh my goodness. Angela Bassett was holding it down throughout this whole movie. She was literally the MVP of the fucking movie. She was literally challenging Chadwick Boseman. Like when Chadwick passed and he dropped the baton, no, she took the baton and ran with it. Like, she embodied a lot of what I think a lot of when guys say we're looking for a black queen, she embodies everything of what a black queen should be. Like, not only is she fucking, she's ripped as fuck, but no, she's ripped. Nah, all jokes aside, not only was she loving, but also when she needed to get fierce and be serious and be taken serious, oh my goodness, every scene she was in, she stole, because she either gave this motherly compassion or she was handling the fucking business. She was handling fucking business, man. Like, she was right. She was like, oh my goodness. That scene with her and Okoye, and it's in the trailer, but that scene, oh my goodness, where she's like talking about, I'm the most powerfulest fucking woman in the whole MCU and in the whole country, and I've lost everything. What more can they possibly take from me? And it's like, oh my goodness. And what I love so much about Angela Bassett's character is that she represents that spiritual side of grief. She's just like kind of holding it down for everybody. She's the one that's holding it down for everybody who's grieving. Like, she's what a true black queen is, like, holding it down for everybody. While Shuri's going through her shit, she's like telling Shuri, like, yo, come take some time off, come with me, we're gonna sit down and we're just gonna think about your brother. And it's like, that's beautiful. I'm like, bro, when she has to be stern with that scene with the UN, and the UN's talking about, yo, you promised us vibranium. She's like, yeah, I did. However, you motherfuckers try to steal from me. Fuck that. We could have killed your fucking people, but we're not gonna do that because fuck you. We're gonna show you how we Wakandans roll. Like, just mighty throughout the whole movie. She's just mighty, and I think it was kind of disappointing when we had to kill her off near halfway through the movie. I actually kind of was like, no, I wish they didn't do that, but I think that death served the purpose to elevate Shuri, and also I think it added a lot more to her character. That, again, that motherly side of her was like, oh, I could easily save myself at this situation, but because Riri's such a young person, I gotta go save her. I gotta go save this young girl. And I think that shows a lot of her character, that she went out in a blaze of glory to go save this young girl. Again, Angela Bassett killed it. Like she was our champ, and the movie, and that's kind of like the negative of the movie. When Angela Bassett goes, you feel it because we have Letitia Wright's for the rest of the movie, and it's kind of like it's not quite the same, which again I want to give huge props to the women of Wakanda. Letitia Wright did the best she could with the material. I actually said to myself, while I still would have recast, I still would have loved the recast because I just want more stories of T'Challa. I think T'Challa's story is not finished. I love what they did with Shuri. I really did like what they was doing with Shuri, even though Shuri did have one dumb moment. I was like, huh? But I did like the idea that Shuri, since she is not spiritual like her mother, that scene in the beach before Namor pulls up, where she's just like, I don't want to even think about the shit, because when I do think about the loss of T'Challa, I'm gonna burn the world. I think it's very interesting to show that juxtaposition of how she's mourning compared to how the queen was mourning. Like when Angela Bassett was talking, she was just like, man, I let the spirits just take me, and I still feel your brother, Shuri. Now that I've made kind of somewhat peace with him, and I love Shuri's just like, Mom, that's just all your shit in your head, baby. Baby girl, that's that dopamine, baby. You're like, nah, that's the shit. She takes a more realistic approach to it, and I like that. And again, I really thought she was doing, Letitia Wright was doing the best she can, and this is coming from someone who's not even a huge fan of Letitia Wright's, because of all the dumb shit she was saying about the vaccine and whatnot. She was doing the best she could, and when she finally became Black Panther near halfway to the end, I was like, okay, all right. But again, and this is just the problem with the movie, because T'Challa is not there. You really, near the end of the movie, you do feel the void of not having a strong lead, and Angela Bassett was that strong lead, and so we had to leave it to Shuri near the end, and I just kind of felt the movie waned but she did the best she could, and she was holding it down. And I do think if we do have to see, give it some time, I think Letitia Wright could possibly be a good replacement. But to be honest, I'm still leaning for a recast for T'Challa, because I'm just like, yeah, I want more stories of T'Challa. Also, I really love the idea, the cameo of Killmonger. When I saw that shit in the theater, I lost my shit. I was like, oh my god. But it made perfect sense for Shuri's character, especially if you've been watching. I don't know if anybody's been watching Moon Knight, but Moon Knight kind of touches upon the astral plane is a construct of what you create and how you're feeling at the moment. So for Mark Spector, since his mind works, he basically has like 3 different personalities. His astral plane would be an asylum. For Shuri, it was seeing Killmonger, and why? Because at that moment she was feeling so vengeful and so angry, and that's why I love when Killmonger was like, "Yo, you gonna be noble like your brother, or you gonna get shit done like me?" I was like, that makes sense. I thought Ryan Coogler is so clever in this movie. When he's given the chance to be clever and just focus on these characters, I think he's very clever, man. I think he's really so good. And so it was so good to bring him back, because at first I thought they were gonna have a CGI Chadwick Boseman. I was gonna cry if they did that. I was gonna be like, oh no. I was gonna be so angry that I got up and left the theater. But they didn't do that. They used Killmonger and it added to her character. That's why I was like, if Letitia Wright would like to come back and play the character and do more things with her, I'm down for it. But yeah, let's get that recast, baby. As for Namor and his people, cool God. I thought Namor was really good. I think he was the second highlight of the movie. If I had to do a ranking, it would be Angela Bassett, Namor, and then Shuri were like the highlights of the film. They were definitely the strongest elements. And Namor, what I loved about Namor is that he isn't quite comic accurate. Because Namor in a comic book is just more cocky and more arrogant. And in this one, he's more like, he's cocky. I mean, I would say he's arrogant, but he is likable. And there was this moment where there are plenty of moments where he's trying to like win Shuri over by his side by just being a playboy, and I'm just like, all right, I could kind of see y'all two getting together. That's cute. But yeah, it's like he was pretty damn good. Like I felt his energy. I felt his raw energy, and I really love the idea that he looked at the outside world and see the horror and kind of the pain the outside world has brung, and it's like, all right, I got to do whatever it takes for his people. And I think the actor who plays Namor, he did a phenomenal job. Like every time he's on screen, you just feel that rawness. It isn't as raw as Killmonger. So if you want to ask, is he better than Killmonger? Fuck no. And even in the movie kind of like makes it pretty obvious Killmonger is that motherfucking G, because the effects of the first Black Panther movie is still being affected to Wakanda up to this day. But Namor was a cool person, and I like the Lads Tech route they went with him. I even love how they introduced his fucking little feet, his little wing feet. Was cute. I was like, that's cool, and the way how he uses it in the movie is pretty dope. It doesn't look stupid. Some people were saying it looks stupid. I'm like, man, this does not look stupid. In fact, I was like kind of impressed. And also I was kind of shocked a lot of people was like body shaming him, because I'm like, my guys, I'm like, let my man breathe. He's just got a bulk design. I guess a lot of people wanted like the Namor design of like a cut build, but I don't know. I really liked his look, and he looked good in the movie, and he was threatening. And I mean that scene where he's talking to the Queen. I was feeling that, because it made it really seem like the Queen was about to get her shit pushed in at that moment, because even Angela Bassett is kind of like scared, but she's like, oh, I'm gonna hold it through. I'm gonna hold it down for my people. So for me, like, I think he did a great job. I think, however, my complaints and why I don't think he's a better villain than Killmonger is because I think his plan is kind of like stupid a little bit. Like, there's some plot holes in his plan. Like, for one, his whole plan is to go find Riri and kill her, because she's the one that made the machines that can detect vibranium. And it's like, okay, even if you did find Riri and you killed Riri, you do know the government can easily just find the pieces, restructure that the whole scanner, vibranium scanner, and remake it. I mean, we've seen in Falcon and the Winter Soldier that someone figured out how to make a super soldier serum. So it's not far-fetched that somebody can redesign Riri's shit. So that didn't make any sense. I also thought his idea of like trying to kill the surface world didn't make any fucking sense. Like, I think it made sense, But I was like, it's not logical. I'm like, that's not logical. If Wakanda is not gonna go to war with these fuckers, with the whole world, what makes sure you're gonna survive a war with them? And I just didn't think he was thinking some of his plans through. Some of his plans, I was like, I don't know, bro. Like, I actually understood where you're coming from, but I was just like, some of this, I'm just like, this is kind of far fetched, especially that Riri Williams part. Like, that didn't make it. That part was like, thing. I do like the idea of Namor and Wakanda working together. I think that's smart because, like he said at the ending, there's gonna come a point where a war is gonna happen between Wakanda and other places, and Wakanda's the most powerful nation in the world, but they can't fight all their battles on their own. So it only makes sense that we help them because they're gonna protect us. Also, there were some little things I did like about Namor and his people. Like, I love the name change for Namor. I'm still gonna call him Namor, but Namor, I thought that was a clever idea of changing the name a little bit. And I did like that they actually had a siren call. Like, the Atlanteans had like a siren call. I'm sorry if I keep calling them Atlanteans. That's what I'm fucking calling them, Atlanteans. Anyway, they had like a siren call to lure people. Like, that was fucking dope. I was like, these are little things that made Namor people and Namor interesting. And I think if they had just cut out the stupid Riri Williams shit, if they had cut out the Ross investigation shit, I think this movie would have been 10 times better because you could explore more of that world. Because what was missing from Namor's people, and I thought about it a lot, what was missing from his people was the disagreements. And we saw it near the end of the movie where one of Namor's hench ladies came up and was like, yo, why did you stop fighting? Like, we had them by the ropes, and she was right. They almost could have worked. And he gave a good explanation of why, and you could kind of feel like she was like, yeah, I don't really fucking like that. That was bullshit. And I wish there was just more scenes like that. I wish there was more moments of we seeing that just like the Wakandans, the Atlanteans have their own opinions of Namor and how Namor should be running things. And I think that would have fleshed out that world a lot. Again, Totokon or whatever the Atlantic is a mirror to Wakanda, and I wish that they explored that more in the movie and really showed that. And I also think the biggest problem of why Namor isn't as good as Killmonger, it isn't even because of the actor. I think it's really because he doesn't have someone to really challenge him both physically and mentally. I think physically you could say like Shuri challenges him physically, but mentally there's no one that rivals his arguments like T'Challa did in the first movie, and that's where I feel like the looming presence of the absent presence of T'Challa really hurt this movie, because again, that rivalry between Namor and T'Challa is so well known in the comic books. It's so fucking cool. And I gotta say, there is one decision in this movie that legit had me fucking heated. Was the after credit scene. Now look, listen, I ain't hating on my Haitian brethrens. Alright, I ain't hating on y'all my brothers. So I ain't even gonna hate on y'all, even though my family's from Barbados. But this was a no for me. I was like, nope, fuck this. Nope. Oh boy, I was like, nope, I could not tolerate this fucking ending, because the ending was so beautiful. Shuri is gonna share the burden of being queen / the protector of Wakanda with M'Baku. Okay, fine. Even though if you're really gonna commit to her being queen, have her be queen. In the comic, she is the queen, so have her be fucking queen. But you didn't want to do that. Okay, fine, whatever. Then she goes to Nakia and you know, like Nakia said earlier in the film, like, hey, if you ever want to come through, and I'm like, all right, cool. I guarantee you by the end of the movie she's gonna go there. And she goes there and she burns her garment that her mom says to do when she's ready to stop grieving or is ready to grieve. And she does it, and then she starts thinking about T'Challa, and it goes through this little tribute through Shuri's eyes, her greatest moments with T'Challa. And I ain't gonna lie, that was a beautiful moment because it ended the movie on such a somber, beautiful note of just finally be able to grieve for one last time of not only just losing T'Challa, but losing Chadwick. And it was such a beautiful moment, and the movie just ends on a silent note. And I'm like, again, one of the greatest strengths of this movie, I'm going to keep saying this, the greatest weapon is its silence. The greatest weapon of this movie is its silence. And at that moment, I thought the movie was at its peak. I was like, man, this is fucking beautiful. And I still think that is. The movie ends on a beautiful note. And the movie ends, and we're all getting ready to leave and whatnot. And, you know, I think one person clapped in our theater, and the rest of us are just kind of like soaking it in. Like, I felt it in the audience, at least for me, at least. Like, we were all just trying to soak it in, what the fuck we just watched. Like, we just felt like we just went through mourning. But yeah, like this, that was so great. And then the movie did the after credit scene. And I'm sorry, man. Fuck that little dude. I'm sorry. I get the significance of the scene because it is kind of it's kind of like what the mother said when I was able to finally end my grieving. I was finally able to feel T'Challa. I was finally able to have the embracement of T'Challa. And I was like, that's cute. That harkens back to what she was saying, is that now that she's finally had clarity and has made acceptance, she finally T'Challa, quote unquote, comes to her. And so when I saw that kid, I was like, oh, it's the kid from the beginning of that scene where Queen goes to go get Nakia. And I was like, this is fucking awesome. And then when this kid started saying, I'm T'Challa Jr., I'm like, this dumb shit out of here. I'm sorry. This shit is bullshit. I was like, nope. What are we gonna do with this young ass kid? What are we doing, bro? What are we doing? I'm like, bro, I get it. I'm like, bro, first of all, T'Challa, I ain't even mad at you for putting a seed in this woman because she is beautiful. I would have put a seed in her too, bro. I ain't even mad at you, T'Challa. Go get it, bro. You did the Lord's work, bro. You did the Lord's work. But I was like, no, bro. No. I'm like, no. I literally was like, no in the theater because this is not the recasting I want. Like, I don't want no little kid. And what am I going to have to do? Wait 10 years for a fucking little kid to grow up and finally be T'Challa, to get T'Challa's storylines? Oh my goodness. Fuck my... And I was just kind of like amazed. And then what pissed me off the most is when Nakia said, like, yeah, your mom knew about it and everybody knew about the pregnancy and everything, but we just had to keep it under wraps. I'm like, wait. So none of you motherfuckers decide to tell this fucking poor woman that she has a nephew? Fuck all you assholes. I'm like, y'all some douchebags. Like, that didn't make any sense. Why didn't it tell her? And a lot of the turmoil Shuri was going through could have easily been been fixed if they didn't do that. I was like, what the fuck is this? I was like, why did no one tell her? And granted, I know there was a scene, the queen was going to tell her, but it just didn't make any fucking sense. I was just like, what the fuck is this dumb shit? Like, it kind of was a spit in the face to, I almost want to say it was a spit in the face to Shuri's character development, but at the same time, I was just like, come the fuck on. I was like, this is stupid. I'm like, no, not only did you recast with a little kid, well, you could have did multiverse shit. You could have had the after credit scene been a multiverse shit, and out of nowhere, a man just walks up to Shuri and is like, hey, sis, and you're like, what the fuck? You're like, what the fuck? Who the fuck is this? And we're all trying to figure out who the fuck is this, and then, like, for us that has been keeping up with Marvel would have known, like, oh no, that's a variant. That's a variant of T'Challa, and then that's why we got our new actor, and it's in the post-credit scene, and that's it. And I would have been fine with that. I think that would have been cool. And it's a different actor. It would have been cool. That's how you do a recast. But the rest, I'm just like, what the fuck? I'm like, oh. I was just dumbfounded. I will say, however, I appreciated that the movie did not have another after credit scene. I appreciate that there wasn't no setup to nothing else. I appreciate it was just a standalone situation, and I appreciate that. Overall, I would say that Wakanda Forever is nowhere as good as the first movie. I think the movie has a lot of problems that hold it back from being great. And just overall, the glooming presence of Chadwick and also the T'Challa glooms over this movie very much. But I think the movie knows this, and Ryan Coogler, the director, did all he could with what he was given. And I think what elevates this movie and what makes it a good movie, despite it not being as good as the first movie, is that the actors and everybody is putting 100% into this movie. No one's phoning it in. No one's just half-assing it. Everyone's putting their heart into this shit. In particular, Angela Bassett as Queen. She's given the best performance. I think the guy who's playing Namor is doing his shit. And surprisingly, Letitia writes, despite my issues with her as a person, she did her thing. So overall, Wakanda Forever may not be as good as the first movie, but man, is it a good movie. And I think the biggest strength and the biggest thing I could say about the movie is that its focus on the silence is the most powerfulest aspect of the movie. And I think this movie shows the strength and the beauty of what the MCU can be. And I feel like this movie should be the golden standard of how the MCU should go going forward. And with that being said, I'm going to end the video here. I have nothing left to say on the movie. Ooh, this was exhausting. Your boy's still sick, so please forgive him. But if you're new to the channel, please comment, rate, subscribe, all that fun stuff. I'm going to have new videos coming. Just let me relax and chillax. But until next time, guys, stay safe. Have a good one. Also, R.I.P. Chadwick. Wakanda Forever.